Welcome to Movie Melee Summer Tournament. 32 seed tournament. We're all exciting we made this decision. We're excited that all the seeds are here. We're excited to talk about them. We've kind of failed a little bit of like releasing the tournament beforehand. We just start dropping matches, but we did our due diligence this time to plan it out so we have the tournament ready for everybody. And we've already shot some, but we're here to announce what the tournament is and talk about what has happened in Melee this season and what is going to happen after. I have on the desk, I guess you would say, Kaleb Koho and Caleb Boatman. Some things have changed a little bit for Melee purposes. Koho is now my co-showrunner of the league. He's doing with scheduling and all that fun stuff. And Boatman has dropped down to head writer, which he always has been, but less at work. He's got school ramping up, everything up. It just seemed like a better time, better fit for him. But he's still around, still helping make decisions. So nothing's changing with that. How is everybody doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm good. As most people have been able to see, life is getting more ramped up for me. I have a beard now, so that's why I'm taking this little bit of a step back because I'm getting busier with school and stuff. So yeah, no, I'm making you all feel old because I came in and I was like 18. Now I'm 23. So that's a symbol to you all that death is slowly approaching.
I, on the other hand, have moved for the second time in the last 6 months. So here we go. This will be fun. This one, hopefully, permanent, at least for a long time. So this is gonna be fun. I'm excited to be on the Melee team and to help out. And Cody and I used to do it all the time where we'd be hanging out on a call, and I'd be like, "Hey, you want to hear the schedule for the next 6 months when I did FANDOM?" And that's back. He missed it, so now we're doing it again.
The best thing is I have somebody that's like a mad scientist with me that will let me like fully and just to announce something, we'll announce this ahead of time. Koho has stepped back from competing and managing. If you haven't seen, some matches will come out. The faction, I don't want to do a faction announcement for them, but it has changed hands. You'll see it in
I'll do it. I'll make the announcement for them here, so we have a formal one, just because it's.
I'll
make a statement. I'll make a final statement.
Can I make that announcement? Can I make
I'll go ahead and just make this final statement of like, yes, I'm taking a break from playing and managing. I may be around on the FANDOM side as a manager here and there if someone has a thing and they're like, Koho, come help. I might do that. But in terms of Melee, I am done managing and I'm done competing for the foreseeable future. As long as I am running the show, I will not be playing or managing. Yes, no more crowns.
And we'll let Caleb and the faction later on, whatever they want to do, talk about their faction and what direction they are taking it. But they are staying united as a team. Koho's just out. The main thing is on Melee, we wanted 2 people completely removed from playing. That's also I'm not managing in Melee anymore as well. We are just trying to 2 eyes just looking at the game above and not having any. Oh, if that's factions playing that faction, how do we feel? We're just playing the game how we play it. Okay. We've had a lot happen this first half of the season heading into this point. We've done our golden ticket. We've had a lot of debut teams take on each other in this round. We've had a lot of rookies debut in the beginning half to make it this way to the tournament. I think this season has just been like as great as possible. I mean, last week alone, the big one, last one, we had the golden ticket finally find out that Ryan Payne will be taking on Andrew Barr in a couple weeks. That match will come out, I believe, if I'm correct. That'll come out the 28th. He'll be taking on Barr right before the tournament drops. They will be playing. Ryan Payne's having a great season overall. I think John Mar Koho in his last match, not happy about his last match overall, but his last match in that played. Did you guys think overall how did you think the golden ticket worked this year? I thought it was a great idea, personally.
Yeah, I think the golden ticket is a really great opportunity for a lot of competitors. I know that's one of the big complaints we've had in the past is like people kind of get tired of seeing the same people over and over. And like, honestly, we can't really help how great some people But what we can do is create the opportunity for someone to get a chance to join those greats. And I think the golden ticket served that 100%. Gave us a lot of fun matchups, a lot of fun faces, getting really close to championships. And Ryan is going to do really great. I think it's going to be a fun title.
Absolutely. Kill?
I was promised that someone would get pushed into a chocolate river, and that never happened. So I'm upset.
Have you checked on Bill recently? Because we actually did pay that off. We did push him in the river.
We did that. My bad.
Yeah.
Bill's flowing down a lazy river right now, currently.
But yeah, so I've gotten a lot of questions. I want to answer this ahead of time. This will be the blanket statement. Teams is returning. I know we spent a lot of time this year on debut teams, and we did a lot of singles. The reason why our teams division got completely wrecked. We lost a lot of teams, a lot of players. We had 13 new teams show up. We had to put them in some placement, and I never felt right like saying, "Hey, Bullets Over Broadway and all these teams come beat up these new teams for no reason that they just showed up on." It just didn't seem right. So that we are having a teams tournament post the 32-person tournament. Okay, there will be a match at Mayhem for the team's title. That's been decided. That will come out later. We're not announcing that right now, but there will be a picture. There is a person. That's happening. Overall, anything else we want to touch base on beginning of the season? I don't think there's much besides a bunch of debut teams. Great season started for some people.
We will take questions also later. If people have questions,
Yeah. So the main thing is we're going to reveal the 32-person tournament. So I guess we should start at 1.
No. This year, I think it's more interesting to start at 32 and work our way up.
Okay.
I think we're in a very interesting position here.
Yeah, I would agree.
So
okay. So this is but we can't show a few of the graphics that you have because the matches have yet to come out.
Right.
But the 32 and 31 seed will be decided by performance in the play-in tournament.
Yep.
And then the 2 winners that are in the play, we can speak about the play-in. We'll tell who's in the play-in. Koho, tell us who will be playing in the two different play-ins.
So our first play-in, in one play-in, we have Mark Menchaca taking on Brandon Dunlap, taking on Brandon Cohen, taking on Jay Burns. And in the opposite 4-way, we have Adelaide Spence taking on Luis Boos, taking on Jacoby West, taking on Zachary Shelton. So those 8, 4 of them will be in this tournament, 2 in a higher placement for winning, and the 2 best performers who didn't win at the 31 and 32 spot.
Yeah, so we won't reveal who won that because it's yet to come out. And some will have a spoiler from this past week's matches that just dropped, which is Igor and Eric. Those we will kind of spoil. So if you haven't seen that yet, please go back and watch it. It's a great match. But we will show where those people have ended up. So we're going to start technically with the 30 seed.
Correct.
The 30 seed.
Yeah. Coming in at the 30 seed is a competitor, a rookie technically, I believe, this season, is the Joker, Jack Pinchuk. Coming in low record, I believe 1 and 2. I think the graphic's a little wrong. But I think I messed that up entirely. No, I messed up the graphic entirely. Thomas Scully. Thomas Scully's the 30 seed. I made graphics fast. Sorry,
Jack
guys.
Pinchuk is also not in any way, shape, or form a rookie. I think he debuted 2 years ago.
No, he debuted in FANDOM. In Melee, this is his first year. But
not
pretty sure, according to the ballots. Anyway,
either way, the 30 seed is Thomas Scully. We are off to a great start.
The Warhawk Thomas Scully is the 30. Last time you saw him, he made his return in the Golden Ticket tournament. He played me in the first round. In his words, a shit show. But as a competitor, he has had some great performances in the past. Took on, I believe it was Abel Delou in his return last season to get himself his first win and show up again. So Scully at the 30 seed, Jack at the 29 seed for the Joker himself. coming in. Maybe I'm wrong about rookie. Maybe I have that part messed up. Here's the thing. Jack is a weirdo, and he is an enigma that exists outside of time in all divisions. Jack is Jack, and he will continue to Jack at the 29th seed.
Nazario said Koho's drunk too. Yeah, Koho's always drunk. It's just how it works out right now. But yes, so Thomas Scully is our 30 seed. 29 seed is Jack Pinchuk. After this call, like after I leave, Koho and Boatman will do a breakdown of who they think are will play the game. Besides the seeds that have been related, do not mention those when I leave.
Right.
Interesting. Okay, so next is our 28 seed.
Yes. And at the 28, making his return to the movie Melee ring this season, is blockbuster Jacoby Bancroft, 4-5, currently coming back. The record does not reflect the talent that Jacoby has. This low seed does not reflect the talent that Jacoby has in general. So I personally am really excited to see Jacoby back. I think he brings a lot of fun energy, especially in a tournament setting. He's always been super dazzling in tournament time, and has been known to just stun people. So I think coming in at the 28, Jacoby is a scary 28 seed.
Yeah, I think he's good. Any thought on that, Bowman? Jacoby back in FANDOM, I believe, if I'm not correct. Yeah, well, I'll tease a match that's coming. Oh, the match that just came out this week. You actually got to play Jacoby and Scott in your recent teams match against them. Fortune favored you in that match, not fortune favored the bold. But how do you think he will do at the 28th seed?
I mean, look, it's Jacoby, and I think Jacoby is at his strongest when he's the underdog. I think he might have come back into not the best position, but at the end of the day, like, I think now that he's like gone lower, that's actually a strong point for him, because I think Jacoby likes to punch up rather than punch down.
So I think a way to do this, instead of like doing a breakdown of each one, we'll reveal the bracket and then we can go back and talk about like entrants that we think possibly could make a run, and then you guys can do a full breakdown out. So the 27 seed will be
Golden Himbo, self-proclaimed Anthony Tisdale, coming in.
Do all these people have these actual nicknames, or you just give them to them?
No, anyone who has a nickname is one that they have told me is their nickname.
I do not remember that was Anthony.
Anthony has told me himself he's the Golden Himbo, and I don't know if that's still the case. That was 4 years ago, I feel like. But yeah.
All right. Well, the 26 seed will be.
Can we just say one of the coolest thumbnails of all time is Anthony's like doing that is just dope.
It is cool. Coming up the 26 seed is Jordan Danger Huffman. Lower record. Also has a very cute dog in his profile picture.
I thought that was a pig.
It is a chihuahua, I want to say. But Jordan Huffman coming in at 26. Coming in at 23 as we jump past 25, 24, who will be tournament play winners. Coming in at 23, spoilers for this weekend. So if you, again, last chance, if you haven't seen it, tune out for a second, come back. 23 is going to be Eric Moreno. He's a free agent, 1-1. Coming in this, I think he has a really cool profile picture of the designs. That was the fun part about making these, is going and find the profile pictures. But Eric definitely coming in 23. Coming in at 22 is the Bat, Dean Mantis, 1-1, stepping in the ring. Coming back in at 22. 21. We have another rookie free agent, Jacob Cameron, 1-0, winning his debut. Then at number 20, we have JPO Jordan Owens, 1-0. Another one of our 1-0 rookies stepping in one of these higher low tier sort of seed positions. Number 19 is the pinhead Jeremy Potters with a fat cigar on that profile picture. I think that is so bad. I love that so much.
He looks like he's going to tear down this dance studio in a 1980s family movie.
He does. I love it.
I'm going to turn the orphanage into a parking lot.
Number 18 is my favorite profile picture to gather for this entire thing, because I have a very deep sentimentality for one Bucky Brzakala. But Tim Brzakala, the Hulk, coming in 18, back again in the tournament once again in a teen seeding. I believe he was in the teens last year as well.
He likes to stay 500 range. He doesn't like to move up or move down.
He's very at home at like an 18 seed in these tournaments. Number 17 is the Esquire Scott Harvey, manager of the Phoenix Club. 7-7 or one of them. But yeah, coming in at 17. The number 16 seed from Fun DMC.
Which will be playing Scott in the very
first playing Scott, the 16 seed. The Ghost, Robert Kastner, off of Fun DMC. Also at a 500. Now, basically, essentially, you're going to learn who those lower seeds are playing, because from here on out, you're hitting the higher seeds. So you can piece matches together while I'm talking, but when this bracket comes around, we'll give you the full detailed breakdown. But number 15 is Vicious Dylan Van Thine, also at the 400 or 500 spot. I see 4 and 4. I'm like 400, 500 at number 15. At number 14, you're going to see this person going to go, really, 14 seed? When we reset records, he took a big hit to his, and that would be the number 14 seed, Jeremy the Atom Adams, 2-1, stepping in. Whew, that's a scary one. Number 13 is the Emperor Kaiser Wang. I don't know why it says 12, but yes, Kaiser is the 13 seed in this tournament.
I love that profile picture.
I think that profile picture is really cool.
What looks like something for like a sitcom promo? Like, I could totally see that, like, coming soon to CBS.
The actual number 12, I don't know why his said 12, he was 13. The actual 12 is in the chat. It's Nazario Montenegro, Mr. VHS, 10-9, coming in just shy of a top 10 seed this year. I think this is the highest placement Nazario has had in the Melee Summer Series tournament, at the very least, since it started. So pretty exciting stuff. The number 11 seed, the assassin Antonio Chavez, rocking dual infinity gauntlets in his profile picture. Wonder what strengths he runs. Couldn't make a guess. Not sure. And now we have reached the top 10 seeds. And this is where things get fun and dicey. And you're probably going to start wondering, people might be missing, people might be here, and I'll answer those questions in a minute. Your number 10 seed is the virtuoso Will Cohen, coming in 3-2 from Fun DMC. Number 9, one of I believe our highest seeded rookie so far this season, is the Bone Doctor Igor Kasek at the 9 seed, 2-0, coming in representing the Kingsmen. And I'll let them change their name later, but the former Kingsmen at the very least.
It's Kingsmen as we speak.
The Kingsmen as we speak. Number 8, coming out of Phoenix Club, making his return as well, and it's been an explosive return, to say the least. It's Amaru Moses, 2-0 off the Phoenix Club at the 8th seed. Number 7 seed had a great season last year to close it up to achieve this spot. Also off the, as of right now, Kingsman. The number 7 seed, Little Chef Matthew Chen, 6-4.
Great last season
for sure. The number 6 seed from Fun DMC, Tony Durso, 6-3. Definitely an exciting one. Now we're in the top 5. I'm excited to see chat reactions as we go. The number 5 off of Fun DMC, that'd be diehard David Nishimoto, 8-5, coming in. He's also, fun fact, I didn't put KOs on any of these. David straight up is 8-5, never had any form of a KO, but he's the 5 seed. I think that's crazy.
He's a scary 5 too. He was one of those low seeds that entered the tournament when he just debuted and took out a lot of heavy hitters on that run, and he's been at the top ever since. So he's definitely one to look out for at a 5 seed.
The number 4 seed coming in off the current Kingsman is the Commander Cam Holtzman, 11-7, stepping in with the beautiful bird beak hat in the midst of his sophomore year, I believe.
I believe that is him as Scuttle from The Little Mermaid.
He's playing Scuttle from The Little Mermaid inside photo. Number 3, former Kingsman, now Fun DMC. That would be the Jinx John Marr, 7-2, an explosive rookie season and a great showing in the Golden Ticket. Gets him up all the way up to the number 3 seed in the tournament after being relatively, I think, 12, 13 seed last year, all the way up to number 3 a year later. Coming in up the number 2. Oh, no, we see comments popping in. Why that picture? Holtzman, this is what happens when all your profile pictures are Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, or non-existent. So
Current profile pictures, him and Jordan.
that's very fair, but I don't think Jordan wants to be included in his graphic. Maybe
Photoshop her out. Just
respect.
I'm good. I'm not that good. Okay, I'm sure not that good.
All right, 2 seed.
The 2 seed, who I believe is the oldest competitor at the high seed in the tournament. He's been in every tournament since the first one, and that is the casual cast Matt Cuellar, 15-8. Once again, finding himself in the 2 seed, a position he's been in before. I love this picture so much. I love
get it done this time.
And the number 1 seed in this tournament is going to be the person who most recently challenged for the title. That would be the Cinemaster Payson Johnson, 7-4, coming in at the number 1. Any questions you may have, we'll maybe have you wait till the end when we take questions. What I'll say right up front, and I'll let him get a chance to answer the question himself. Kaleb Bowman is sitting out this year's tournament. It's the first tournament that Bowman is not playing in besides the one where he was the champion. So I'll let Boat talk about that for a second.
okay. My internet decided to cut out just at this moment, so that's perfect. But I'm gonna talk. Hopefully, it'll work. But yeah, no, I'm not in this. As I said, life is getting real busy, so I wanted to take a break. And from also a selfish perspective, I've won this tournament twice. I feel like if I did it a third time, either I'm just matching expectations or I lose and I lower it. Like that, those were frankly my 2 options. Either I match expectations or I go below expectations. So I'm sitting out. I will be back in the second half of the year, but it's a free for all. Everybody go in. Have fun.
I think it's very important to also think there is no bar, there is no Red Shaw, there is no Jake Meltzer. There's no players that have dominated this tournament prior this year. So this tournament is the most up for grab tournament.
This year we are going to have, for the first time, someone will win this tournament who has never won it before. It is not possible for anyone who has won it in prior. Michael Campbell's not here. Radshaw's not here. Boat's not here. So someone new is going to be the winner of this tournament this year, and that's really exciting.
I will say also, we have shot the singles title. I will say today, which no one ever does it because I look at the analytics, stay to the end of that match when it debuts. That's all I'm asking you. That's all I will say. Stay to the end because there is a tournament surprise at the end of that match. We won't release it. We'll release the bracket. We won't release what that tournament surprise is, but there is a surprise at the end of that match. So please watch that when that match comes out on the 28th. You got 12 days. So yeah, that's the tournament. I think there are 2 interesting notes before you guys do a whole tournament breakdown. The 2 interesting notes is definitely sits at the 14 and the 15 seed. Dylan and Jeremy, they squared off in last one standing. They both in the news Judgment City having a great season for Jeremy. Dylan also having a great season from where he's playing perspective wise. So overall, I think they're low seeds, but I think they could upset things in the future. I think it's a very interesting, and especially when the high seed gets the draw of the 14 seed of Jeremy, I think that's going to be like a kick in the pants a little bit because that's a rough 14 because it's not a normal 14. That's my 2 takeaways from the bracket that you
definitely. So do we want to talk about things besides the bracket and then come back to the bracket, or do we want to break down the bracket now?
No, we can break it out and stuff in the future. In between the tournament time, in between round, I think we'll start releasing them in around round 2 of the tournament. Some teams matches will be debuting.
Right as round 2 starts winding down, you'll start seeing some teams' performances return.
Yeah, because we want to get some seeding done. Make sure some teams get a little warmed up before they play in a match, because I feel like it's rough just throwing them into the ring without playing a match prior, especially they've been off for, at that point, a long time. So the teams match. I've also gotten some messages. I will just clear this one up. Turmoil is no longer a thing in Multiplex. We're not doing turmoil. We will be doing the version of what Fandom does for the Frenzy, but we will be doing at the end of the year that will decide our last title picture of that. So to clear that up, that will be that. And also, I'll tease it. We won't talk about it. Me and Koho have like an awesome plan for some players at the end of the season that has never happened before. So it is very interesting. It's going to be interesting when that comes out. But yeah, you can. I'll let you take it away. What you want to talk about? The next.
Do we want to reveal some of those team matches who are playing?
Yeah, I think we can. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Then I'll go ahead and I'll start throwing some ones out. So if you're a team competitor listening and you don't hear your name, it means you are probably just going to show up again in the tournament. But I think I did a good job of getting every team a chance to play before this tournament. So the first one up will be Penitential Pass. Antonio and Robert Kastner will be taking on the Union, Abel and Luis. They will be playing in the middle of this tournament in the summer series. Then after that, you'll see Inglorious Blasters will be back. That is James Puckett, Melissa Whitty. They'll be taking on the Grumpy Old Ren, Tim Brzakala, and Nick Twohig, making their return to the movie Melee Ring. A team I'm very excited to see come back. A team that's better than they give themselves credit for, and also a team that's very entertaining. And I'm just excited to see Puckett and Melissa play again. They had a really solid start last year. Got a little muddled there towards the end, but I think a fresh start for them this year is going to be huge. We also then have 2 0-1s facing off, the Lonely Goat Herds, Matthew Chen and Dean Manis. Back again, they were the highest rated 0-1 rookie team. They'll be taking on Shampoo is Better, which is Jordan Owens and Rick Weaver. They will be facing off in this one. We will then also have Back to Formula. Jake Marangoni and Mark Menchaca will be returning. They will be taking on Rewind Fuckers, Matt Cuellar and Nazario Montenegro. Last time we saw Rewind Fuckers, they played for the title, Back to Formula, just barely losing out, I believe, to Sexual Chocolate. I believe. Is that one of the ones that we have? Or
Back to Formula. No.
Back to Formula?
Not out yet.
Oh,
please be careful.
Sorry, I didn't realize that. But anyway, they're going to be facing off. And then we also have a couple of other teams coming up. If you're wondering where some teams went, I know we haven't had Waterloo this year. They played in the number 1 contender. You will see Water too. They will be back, and they will be facing off with another team that hasn't played in a hot second, Great Scott. So you'll see Great Scott and Water 2 get a chance to face off this year as well. Trying to think of other teams that we will see. A couple of other 0-1s. Sexual Chocolate will be back again, and so will other teams this year. You'll see a more of Boat and Jeremy, more of Scott and Jacoby. We have a lot more teams coming. I won't say too much because I want to make sure that I don't spoil things. I accidentally did the one that feels like an idiot. But we do have a lot of teams that will be coming out in the fall facing off as well. So if you haven't heard your name, don't worry. There's a good chance you are one of these teams that will be playing in. I don't currently have any teams signed up to debut before the tournament yet. So if any teams want to debut, I do have some room potentially. So come hit me up. Let me know who your teammate is and when you're playing. There's a little room for some fresh teams to get a shot in before the tournament as well. But yes, lots of exciting stuff. If you're wondering where Bolter, Broadway, and Time Shift are, they are more than likely straight up in the tournament, but we will reevaluate with the room to see if we have room for them to play. But you will see every team you are looking for will be here. You're going to see some good teams.
Yeah, we're doing a 16-team tournament. It will be everybody. There will be featured. It will be normal when it runs, and that will decide. I mean, we also have 2 things to look out for this season before I turn it over to these 2. We have Dylan with his title shot for winning Last One Standing. We have Jeremy with his number 1 contenders match looming, so he can use that in singles or teams. Again, everything's crazy in Melee. I think there's been some upsets. There's been some twists, some turns. some interesting things. Boatman not being in the tournament, Barr not being in the tournament, still winning the title back. Like, there's a lot of things going on. It's crazy. Ryan Payne challenging.
We can say that's true. No matter what happens with Barr and Payne, the winner of that match will not be in this tournament, and the loser will not be in this tournament.
Correct.
We're gonna let both of them sit and come back post tournament. Give absolutely everyone in it a full, fresh chance to win this thing outright. So.
My thing with Koho, he said there is a small room. I don't know how much more room for teams we will actually have for a team's debut, just because we spent so much time with team's debut beforehand. And again, there will be title pictures after the fact. There will be what happens in the tournament will dictate what happens in the second title picture post Mayhem. Again, Game of Factions, if you don't know about that, Game of Factions is running year long, so we will have an announcement, me and Tim, on that at some point. There's a lot going on in Multiplex. We're having a lot of craziness, but it's going in an interesting direction. I think we are we're doing fun things. Me and Koho have a lot of fun things planned at the end of the year. Yeah, there's a dog on his lap, so
yes.
Questions, if you have any questions based on the tournament or anything Melee related, before I take off and let them talk about tournament breakdown, because nothing excites them more than walking down through a tournament, and seeing who could possibly win. But yeah,
so.
Will there be any singles debuts happening during the singles tournament? Not during the singles tournament, but post it, yes. We will always have filler matches. It's just bound to happen. Yeah. If we didn't get you in there, we'll get you in one at the end. But again, Melee is a very competitive division. Like, if you win, you get to keep playing. If you lose, it's when we get you next time. Like Tim, if I ask Tim, hey, you want to play a Melee match? Absolutely. But Tim, sometimes luck's not on the side. He doesn't win all the time, so he only plays like twice a year. So, again, it's a competitive field out there. Believe me. Some good players wish they didn't play as often, and some players that don't have the greatest luck want to play all the time. So, yeah. So nothing during the tournament. Basically, the breaks between the tournament rounds will be teams matches. There will be teams matches and heavy teams matches, because we have neglected teams for a while now. Like Bullets hasn't played a match this year. Time Shift hasn't played a match this year. Like, Ginyu has played one title defense at the beginning of the year. Like, these teams have played for a while. They are rusty as people need to be playing some matches. So yeah. If any other questions, then I'm going to just pass it to those two to take it on for the rest of the night. So Koho can answer any questions. Koho and Boatman can answer any questions. So have a good night, everybody. Ask them all the questions. Have fun doing your breakdown.
For sure. So, this will be fun. Like we said, this is going to be an insane tournament. A lot of fresh faces. So, of course, Boat being here to break it down with me is really fun. So I think we can start it at the top and just mention, obviously Payson's playing the second best performer loser. We don't know who that will be of those four, and we don't like to speculate on play-ins. So Payson has basically an empty opponent at the moment that we can't really comment on. But we can say the winner of that will be facing in the next round the winner of the 16 versus the 17. That is Robert Castor versus Scott Harvey. I think that is going to be a light show of a first round match.
Oh, absolutely. Like, that's, I mean, the 16 and the 17, like, that's what a 16-17 should be. That's the closest match of round one. And it is definitely one of the closest matches of round one. And yeah, I think it looks like it looks like a killer match.
It does. I think that the big thing to also consider, Scott in the golden ticket, 1-1, clearly has been playing and playing to a high level, even in matches that he doesn't win. We've seen a lot of deals debut. They clearly have chemistry, him and Scott and Jacoby. So Scott's been around. He's been playing. He's not rusty. And he is taking on Robert, who we haven't seen his team play in a hot second. But we did see, we have seen a lot of Robert over in FANDOM, and he has been quite scary as well in Melee.
I think the thing that's kind of interesting here is this is a tale of two different 500 players.
True.
You have one player who, in the case of Scott, who is 500 because he just has continuously hovered around the 500 line forever. Robert is a case of a player who dipped down to the lower depths and is now working his way back up and made it back to 500. So this is a tale of two different 500 players, two players who want to keep at least a 500 or better.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. Will Scott's case of kind of always evening out work out for him, or is Robert's upward streak going to continue the trend?
Also worth noting that even in losses, Robert has been one of the highest performing players in the division. He's had a great stat line despite the loss streak. And I think the thing that makes him a very dangerous 16 is we forget he beat David Nishimoto when they first debuted on an insane debut game out of Robert, and he has never really slowed down from that. Even in losses, very high performing. So I think that's going to be the thing, is we're going to see Robert come out and perform to a high level, and we're going to see Scott come out and play this very, very smart, very calculated competitor in Scott. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see the two face off. Then the 8 and 9 seeds, we can't comment. Igor and Amaru, they will be playing the play-in winners. The higher performing play-in winner, more than likely taking on Amaru, and Igor playing the lower as the 8 and 9. So they currently blank slate matches for you two as well. So the next one is one I'm very excited for. I think this is going to be one of those matches that is incredibly entertaining when we go over to the 4 seed Cameron Holtzman, who takes on at the 29 seed Jack Pinchuk. I think that is a match that maybe on paper doesn't look very close, but at the very least is going to be so entertaining with these two trading barbs. Even though they're on the same faction, they're like real life, very close friends, which makes for great drama when they play each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think this is literally the battle of two people who are not, that far away from each other distance-wise, and also literally knew each other. One of the few cases where someone knew someone before they joined this community.
Definitely. And I think that'll make for a very entertaining one. Even if on paper the stat line between Holtzman and Jack does not seem incredibly close in competition, it'll at least be a fun one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing about Jack, though, that's interesting, is Jack plays better with no pressure. He plays better with no pressure when he comes in for fun, and I think all the pressure will be on Holtzman going into that one to win it. The next one up is the 5 seed David Nishimoto taking on the returning 28 seed Jacoby Bancroft. And that is a rough draw if you're a 5 seed or a 28 seed. Either side, those are competitors they were not hoping to see. Jacoby coming back, definitely not looking to be playing a top 5 seed and a team's champion in David. But if you're David and coming into a singles tournament and you're looking to win your first one, your first round draw being Jacoby Bancroft coming back is not the name you wanted to see on that end either.
No. This is two cases of this is just one of those times where when a player who is better than he is goes down to a lower record, it usually ends up in barn burner matches. And oh boy, you can tell me you think either of these two guys are going to win, and I would not call you crazy.
Definitely. I think it's going to be a good one. Then on the opposite end, the winner of this will be facing the winner of this match, which will be the 12 seed Nazario Montenegro versus a rookie at the 21 seed in Jacob Cameron. Nazario, good showing last year, coming back, making up ground, getting himself back to an above 500 record at 10 and 9, one of the biggest records numbers-wise in the league coming in. I think him facing off with someone 1-0 like Jacob Cameron, I was really impressed by the debut. I think there's a lot of potential. So seeing these two face off is going to be very interesting. It's always fun to see an absolute troll like Nazario play against someone who is so new and see how that's an advantage Nazario has. It's like, if you don't know Nazario, you're not ready to play Nazario. because there's a lot of head games that are involved in a game like that. I can speak from personal experience. It can make or break your game. So Rosario at a 12, a dangerous 12. But I'm interested to see what Jacob Cameron brings as a 21 seed.
Yeah, no, like I think what Jacob Cameron has at his advantage that he's relatively unknown. So I think that's a big factor.
Definitely. I think that's one where you can either bet on the experience or can bet on an upset, and a March Madness bracket, either way is valid. Coming in at the 2 seed, Matt Cuellar, he also has a blank slate match because we don't know who he's playing, as he'll be playing the highest performing loser of the play-ins. But here's what I'll say for Matt. Matt's been on a 2 seed before. He's played competitors who have eked their way into that spot, and they've given him serious runs for their money at a 2 seed. There have been some scary 31s that have gotten close to beating Matt at a 2, but the roughest draw you can have at 31 is to come up with someone who is so experienced like Matt and so good at winning like Matt. So far, Matt has never lost a round 1 tournament match. He has always made it to round 2, and he's played in every tournament. That's a daunting hill to climb when you play Matt Cuellar, but Matt Cuellar also has had some close calls with 31 seeds in the past.
Matt Cuellar is one of those guys who just kind of makes the game look effortless. Like, there's not a whole lot of people I would genuinely say that about. I don't even think you could say that about me. Like, I think there are very few people that you can actually say make the game look as effortless as Matt Cuellar. Like, maybe he's just one of my favorite players to watch play because he is just so relaxed and in the zone in most, if not all, of his matches. Beauty to watch. I love watching Matt Cuellar play. But Spence is such an odd duck.
We don't know yet. We don't know the plans. You're projecting Spence, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But I am going to say there are a lot of competitors in there that could do well with Jacoby West, Luis, Spence, and Shelton. Spence on paper, looking pretty good, but I would not bet money on any one horse in the race yet. But any of them going up against Matt, going to be a hard fight. So then the next one up, 15 versus 18, Dylan Van Thyn is having the best season of his career so far. Dylan's just come out on fire, winning last one standing, and just playing an absolutely vicious knockout in his first singles return this year against Brandon Dunlap. He played great earlier in the year. And Bring Out Your Dead is a team on paper that looks so electric. I'm so interested to see Dylan and Jeremy play. Dylan's just having a season. So to see him back in this tournament in a setting, I think Dylan is poised to have a great tournament run. I think he's got his mojo. He's found his confidence in the league. And I think right now he's my vote for comeback player of the year. I think he's playing great. But on the opposite end of him is a player who everyone sort of sleeps on, but shouldn't. Tim Brzakala is a bona fide champion of movie trivia, whether that is fandom or general movies. And while he takes general movies as I'm laying back and playing for fun, Tim is still a lethal 18 seed to be drawing up against. On the right day, the right questions, Tim could be moving on to round 2 in this thing. But Dylan is also on such a hot streak. I'm so excited to see him do his performance in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is a case of Dylan who I don't think it's fair to say that he was a weak player before, but I think he's just been playing on such a high level already this season that it'll be so interesting to see him play. But Tim is just a solid competitor. You know,
Right.
Very stable competitor. He doesn't get worse. He doesn't get better. He just kind of stays where he is. And that's actually kind of scary to play against.
Absolutely. So then we move on to our next round match, the number 7 seed Matthew Chen, who had a great season last year. The comeback player of the year for most eyes, very great competitor. He is facing off with Jordan Huffman, a competitor whose record looks a lot less intimidating than he can be. His nickname is Danger for a reason. I think Jordan Huffman and Matthew Chen going to be a good match. I think Matthew is looking to capitalize on the momentum he created last year, and it's going to be a fun tournament to see Matthew in a top 10 spot.
Yeah. I think Matthew's a guy who also just built up a lot of momentum. But you look at I have trouble remembering what's come out, but Scott Harvey versus Jordan Huffman actually absolutely came out, and despite the record of that match or the way that match ended up, you look at the way Jordan Huffman played in that match, and he played lights out. He was excellent in that match. Easily could have won it. Just ended up coming into some bad luck. But I do not count out Jordan Huffman here.
Definitely. Moving on to the 10 versus the 23. Once again, a minor spoiler again. We gave you the warning. Eric Moreno, who comes in as the 23, takes on the number 10, Will Cohen. And Will is a player who he's paired with John on your Milwaukee Bears, and they are a force as those two just together have just such a great chemistry and a great mind. On his own, Will has a great stat line, not necessarily the record that backs it up, but a pretty surefire, good accuracy. I think Will has the ability, clearly enough, as a top 10 seed this year. I believe he was a 13 or an 11 last year. Pretty high seeded competitor in last year's tournament as well. Hovers around the same range, taking on a rookie like Eric Moreno. I think Eric is a good competitor with a very much rookie green to his game, and facing off with someone like Will, who has a lot of matches under his belt at this point, whether it be teams or singles. It's not looking like the easiest matchup for Eric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree on that completely. Will's really lucky that he's a better competitor than he is a letterbox user. Eric,
the amount of messages I get from you a day about Will's taste.
No, you do not get those messages from me. That is a lie.
It's also Payson.
No, it is. I don't message about I do not. That is a bold-faced lie. That is other people. That is not me.
It's mostly Payson and Scully, I think. I got messages from about the letterbox. But listen.
Sure, they're going to be mad that you outed them like that, but I did not.
Who cares? It's letterbox. Everyone sees your reviews. Like, here's the thing. Will, your letterbox takes, some of them freak me out. Some of them just, freak me out. But you can play. So there you go. We'll move on to the next one. I kind of name dropped him earlier. Both of them, actually, in that last round. John Marr coming in at a 3 seed after a monster rookie season, one of the best rookie seasons we've seen someone string together. Comes in this year. He had a great continuing performance with the golden ticket. Couldn't quite pull it out in the finals. But he finds himself as a 3 seed coming off those performances. They call him the Jinx. He is not a fun competitor to play against. He punishes you with his strengths, and he has some voodoo hex on every player he ever plays to get the worst game out of his opponent ever. I don't know how he does it. I don't know who he prays to. I don't know who he killed to get it. But John Marr's the 3 seed on an insane power. And on the opposite end is Thomas Scully at the 30 seed, a competitor who does not take melee as a primary seriously. He's here to have fun. He's here to be loose and energetic. And man, is that probably the worst draw for Scully ever, to have Marr, who's going to be so punishing in strengths. But also not a good draw for Marr, who is not the most proficient at fandom stuff, and to be going up against a former 2-time fandom champion, 3-time actually fandom champion in the first round of this tournament. It could be a really interesting draw for John to play, but Scully's going to get absolutely punished with some of those strengths, speaking from experience.
You basically hit the nail on the head. That's playing Marr just seems like a sucky time. No offense to you, John Marr, but I'd just rather not. Awful strength.
Absolutely disgusting strength. Next up, we move to the 14 versus the 19. A battle of people with the first name. Jeremy Adams taking on Jeremy Potters. And let me tell you, we said it earlier, we alluded to it. Jeremy Adams, not a 14 seed. If we went off the previous Melee records, he'd be pretty handily a top 6, 7 seed in this tournament. Former Melee singles and teams champion, the first in both categories, the original champion of this league, back as a 14 seed. And I think that's very exciting to see the OG back in the ring. But to see after we did the record reset, got rid of the first season, the original first season, season 0 in my eyes, we now have a much different record for Jeremy Adams at 2-1. Basically encapsulating only the reign where he was the champion, his defenses, and the final match where he lost it to Jake Marangoni. He comes into this tournament as a 14 seed off that record. which is not a fun draw if you're Jeremy Potters. Potters, who is a solid competitor, one of the Rookie of the Year nominees for a reason in both divisions, a very balanced, very skilled 50-50 competitor with a lot of knowledge on the table. It is just not a very fun draw when you have to go up against the former champion in both teams and singles of this league. I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle between two Jeremys, but I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, no, just the Jeremy Civil War is fun. But to kind of set the stage, because I think a lot of, especially the newer people, don't know Jeremy Adams and how dominant he was during that 2019 run. Like, he was like so dominant,
and not just in Melee. If you look at the Fandom side too, man was scary. Played for the Fandom Singles Championship the same season that he won the Melee Singles Championship. Genuinely an insane trivia mind all around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely sounds like I'm blowing smoke because he's my partner, but I think legitimately, just statistically, it's so hard to deny Jeremy's prowess. But Potters is a solid competitor in his own right, and
True.
Jeremy hasn't played in singles in a long time.
It has been a long time since Jeremy Adams has stepped into the singles ring. It's exactly, I believe, 4 seasons since he's been here. It's been 4 years since he stepped into the singles ring, and ring rust can kill a competitor that long. We've seen it happen in Fandom. We've seen it happen in Melee with several competitors. And I think that is definitely a possibility that works in Potter's favor. But 2 Jeremys with 2 mega brains for trivia. It's going to be a great round 1 match. The next matchup, 6 seed Tony Durso taking on 27 seed Anthony Tisdale. Another fun DMC Civil War. It's a matchup I feel like we've seen before, but I don't think we actually technically have here. But Durso and Anthony, 2 very fun competitors, very fun guys facing off. I think no matter what, Anthony puts himself so down, but that man's knowledge is very solid. Anthony is a very, very scary 27 seed in this tournament if Durso's not careful as the 6th. I think it'll be a good match regardless.
I might be crazy, but I feel like we got that this exact matchup was in round 1 of the tournament last year. But I
played a lot. But
I might be. Time is a flat circle at this point. So I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe so. But it is. I believe he played Luis last year in a rematch in round 1. But I think I believe that these guys have circled each other in other leagues. They faced off in other leagues, and now they get to do it here in Melee. But I think Anthony is a great competitor. I think Durso is a good competitor. I think it's going to be a good match.
That is true. Yes.
And the final matchup we have in round 1 is the 11 versus the 22. The 11 seed Antonio Chavez versus the 22 seed Dean Mantis. Antonio, a very, very good competitor who has had some great runs to number 1 contenders matches and competitions. He's never quite reached the title, but he is a competitor who has always been in the picture every time he shows up and is not somebody to be slept on for a reason. Don't let that record fool you. That man is scary. He has beaten some of the best. He has beaten some all-time legends of the game, and he's been in many number 1 contender situations and title pictures. This man is a very good competitor at the 11th seed. Taking on Dean Mantis at 1-1. Dean, a rookie with a lot to prove at the end of last season with a win, coming in this year in his first year as a fully seasoned vet. Didn't quite have the performance he wanted to in his first match, but Dean in that rookie showing showed that he has a lot of knowledge, and I think he's looking to make a comeback here in round 1. Antonio, a very good competitor, has had lapses and moments where he can lose in round 1. Last year, he lost to Matthew Chen in round 1 in what was a really big upset. So round 1 of the tournament, not always Antonio's friend. Maybe Dean can capitalize that on this, but Antonio, a lethal assassin.
Yeah, Antonio he's an enigma, right? He can play like nobody's business on one day and have a weaker turn in the next. And you really have no idea. I don't know if maybe he flips a coin before each match to determine which Antonio we're going to get. But if we get Antonio, the terrifying competitor, that's a dangerous person. But Dean is an interesting competitor in his own right. I think he's not proud of the way he played against Drew, and I think he's looking to get that record back up.
Absolutely. I have a dog chewing on stuff. So I'll let you put a little bow on this round 1 of this tournament.
Yes, absolutely. This is, I think, we alluded to it earlier, but this is anybody's game. This is like the most open, anybody can win we've ever had in this tournament. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm curious, for the people who are still watching, who is your bet to win? I'm actually very curious about this.
I will actually say yes. Give us your bets to win. But right now, I'm going to ask you your one question. You, as Kaleb Boatman, the analyst, probably one of the most knowledgeable people at the show on just how this game works. Who do you have? You get one shot, one person to win 32 people of 32 to win a tournament. Who do you think is calling it as a first-time movie Melee Summer Series champion this year and playing for the title?
Because he's my team partner, I'm going to take Jeremy Adams out of the equation. I'm just because he's my team partner, I don't feel like I have the ability to be truly objective there. So I'm not putting that into the equation. So if we're taking him out of the equation, my money's on Payson Johnson. That's who I think is gonna. I would say it's probably either going to be Jeremy or Payson if I had to put money on it. One of those two. Since I'm taking Jeremy out of the equation, I'm going to say Payson. He wants this bad. He's been looking for this. He's only gotten better since he started. I think this is the year for him to do it.
For sure. I will. I love you, Kaiser. If Jack wins the whole thing, I'll eat a shoe. I will say, I love Jack to death. He knows that. My picture of this.
Can we just acknowledge the fact that Kaiser rocks? We do not appreciate Kaiser enough in general. Kaiser is one of the most awesome people in this community. I love Kaiser.
So if I have one person, Payson and Jeremy, great shots, great calls, great competitors, both teams champions in their career. Payson recently playing for the singles titles, not a bad shout. The person that I'm going to call as being a dark horse to win this thing, I feel like in a lot of ways has been the Chick Hicks of this tournament many years now, is Cameron Holtzman. He's been so close to winning this tournament many a time, whether he's been in the semifinals against Matt, whether it's come down to a semifinal last year against you. I think that Cameron Holtzman has been a semifinalist multiple times. He's been a quarterfinalist. I feel like the earliest exit he's ever had was maybe a round 2 match earlier in his career. But I think Cameron Holtzman is a competitor who has always made it at least to the Final Four and has been one of those competitors who has consistently been there. I feel like having you not be there is a reason to at least point to Holtzman and say, hey, maybe this is the year that you do it. Just saying, because last couple times he's gotten close to the title, he's been beaten by you. That's the only reason I bring it up. That's the only reason why I make the Chick Hicks analogy. But I feel like Holtzman as a competitor.
That makes me
the king.
I guess I feel weird saying that.
I guess you're Strip Weathers. But I think that I think that Holtzman would probably be my dark horse candidate if I'm not taking Jeremy Payson or honestly some other people that I think are going to do really well in this tournament. I think Nishimoto has a shot to make a big return this year, a big statement tournament win for him. I also would I have a lot of people in this tournament I have my eye on. I think John Marr is a competitor who can make a deep run. He looks like he's just on fire.
The person who I'll shout out is my dark horse pick. If somebody of not one of the top, I mean he's a 15 seed, but I think Dylan Van Thine is the person who I think would not be on people's top list to win. Of someone who I would not be shocked if he just came in at the 15 seed and won the whole thing.
I think Dylan is a good show.
I think that guy's been firing at a crazy level this season, and he just has a weird amount of energy right now that I think I could totally see.
Definitely. Garth, I don't know if you saw it earlier. Ryan Payne will not be in the tournament. Ryan Payne will not be in the tournament. He's playing for the title. We're not letting the winner or the loser of that title match be in this tournament. But
I think Ryan
Payne could be the champion. He could be the champion when the tournament
starts. I think Garth was making a joke.
I mean, sure. But, I mean, Ryan Payne definitely could be the champion come tournament time. It's a thing that could happen. So, I don't know if there's any other people you're looking forward to seeing play in the tournament. Anyone you want to shout out? Anyone in the chat have questions for us, feel free to shoot them our way. We would love to answer a couple questions before we dip on out of here. If you have questions about the schedule, about teams that are playing, about debuts, anything, ask us anything about Movie Melee. Canadians ranked Jack, Brittany, Dylan, Holtzman. Wow. Yeah, you know what? I don't blame him.
Yeah, we can let that slide. I think I honestly
and Kaiser are gonna have to face off in melee against.
The thing that I think is stupid is that like Dylan is way too low on that ranking, if anything. Not Holtzman. Holtzman's on. Actually, you have Jack too high, even though Jack is too high most of the time. I was proud of that joke.
It was good. He is very high. But I do think I think we're poised for a great tournament. I think we're poised. A lot of Canadians. The Canadians are killing it this year. Canadians run multiplex. If you're being honest, you got over on the fandom side. You got Brittany having like the career of a lifetime, a hell of a season over there. She's doing great. And on our side, on the melee half, you got Holtzman and you got Dylan, just absolutely crushing. A lot of Canadians. Doing great. Dylan can suck it. Wow, Kaiser.
Kaiser is absolutely. I don't know if he's chaotic neutral or chaotic evil, but he's one.
I think he's chaotic neutral. I think he just takes shots at everyone.
That's fair.
I gotta love it. But a question I will pose to you: on our active roster of competitors, who do you think has the best nickname? Because I'll shout out Kaiser's the Emperor. I think that's a dope nickname.
That is a dope nickname, and I forgot that was his nickname. So I do like that one. Of the current roster, that's actually really tough. I mean, I like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, okay, is the Jinx John's actual nickname, or is it?
I've heard both Calamity John and the Jinx.
I think you tried to make the Jinx a thing, and John is like, no, Calamity John. I think the Jinx.
I've heard both. I've heard the Jinx from people that aren't me as well. So I'm not sure.
Valid.
I've gone with the Jinx, but
the Jinx is a really good nickname.
I think it's perfect. I like Little Chef. Little Chef's kind of fun.
I do really like Little Chef.
I know. I do gots to shout outs. I do gots to shout out the Dive still. I love Andrew's nickname. No parts of the game. Flippus, I think I'm dying. Oh. I apologize to you.
That's not good.
Yeah, you probably should see someone about that.
Go see a doctor. Who is that?
I don't know who the Flippist is, but you should. I hope you're okay.
What an odd message you just put out of mouth.
No, I hope you're doing okay, Flippist.
Yeah, I'm scared now.
I hope you're okay. Does anyone have any questions about the season ahead, about things we're working on, about matches? I'll give him a couple seconds to put things in. I do have a dog sitting on my feet. He's just a little bugger, but I hope you like my poster setup. But I think you'll appreciate these. These used to be on the hallway, in my stairwell, and now they are here. Casablanca being that one, and Lawful up here. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's up there. Mantis over there. Not the movie, but the ride.
I think if we haven't gotten any more questions,
I'm probably not gonna have any questions. I'll give it just a couple minutes more.
I'm curious about who the Flippist is.
Flippist, I'll ask you the question, Flippist. Are you okay? Is everything okay?
Do you want to come on Movies Are My Life? I can.
When does my episode of Movies Are My Life come out?
It was supposed to air recently, and then I think things got mixed up. So maybe it's airing this week. I don't actually know.
I'm so concerned about the reaction to my movies. I'm very concerned what messages I'm going to get.
From what I understand, people get really nice messages after they do episodes of Movies Are My Life. I never get those nice messages, despite the fact that I'm the host. You could send me nice messages. I'm kidding.
Boatman requires nice messages.
Kelly Meehan gave me a really nice message about Movies Are My Life. So that's actually not true. I don't know.
Great. Oh, he's okay now. Or they're okay now, I guess. But yeah, it's Kelly's.
Can we get to know who the Flippist is?
Anyway, I don't see any questions, so we'll go ahead and we'll wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I can't wait to share with you the movie Melee Summer Series Singles Tournament. I think it's going to be great. Boat has been hard at work leading the writers' room. Cody and I have been doing our best to sort of build the schedule, architect a season for you, and a direction. So it's going to be a fun season here as we get into the tournament. And I think this is going to be maybe one of the best 32-person tournaments we've had yet. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys all very soon.